When you take the Mantle Assessment, you're gonna get your top 3 results. I'm gonna walk you through what those mean. Hi, I'm Dr. Tracy Timberlake. I'm the creator of the Mantle Assessment, and I'm so glad you're here because we get a chance to talk about what your top 3 mantles actually mean and why you get those top 3. The first result that you get is your core mantle. That is your primary assignment. That is what you're anointed to do in this world. I like to describe it as your main character energy. It's not just what you're good at, because I don't think that anybody can, give themselves the gift of a mantle. That particular mantle shapes how you lead, it's how you hear God, and it's also designed to help you understand the kind of impact or how you're supposed to make that impact in the world. This is really sort of like your biblical blueprint DNA. Like when you are operating in this mantle, and you probably already have your entire life without knowing it, because it just flows. There is grace on this particular mantle in your life, and so you will have used it for years and years since you were a child, and maybe not even noticed it ever. Then you have the supportive mantle. So this isn't the one that takes front and center, but usually in a time of crisis, or when you're in a bind, you're in a pinch, you're in a high pressure situation, this mantle kind of comes alongside the main one and becomes sort of like your strategic edge for how you're going to make decisions within the context of what you're going through. Sometimes you may not even notice this one kick in unless you're in, like I said, one of those high pressure situations, and then all of a sudden you may not be operating in the primary mantle, or you are, but you need something to edify it and to strengthen it, and you need like a little bit more strategy. That's when the second one comes in. That's the supportive mantle. The third result you get is what I like to call your shadow mantle. So this one is the one that you may not even notice. Like it's something that you don't notice, but usually for me, it shows up when I'm just by myself. When I am alone and I don't have to lead, I don't have to do anything other than be alone, my shadow mantle sort of shows up, because my shadow mantle is a builder mantle. It's Nehemiah. And so I am constantly building and thinking and creating different structures, not physical structures. I'm not building, walls, but I am thinking through like what can be built, whether it's a funnel, whether it's a business. I don't like to go into an organization that is already established. I learned this years ago about myself before the Mantle Assessment thing ever came to be, but I am not a go into an organization that already exists and then assimilate. I've always been, let's build it from the ground up. So I think that's why entrepreneurship feels very good to me, because I'm building from the ground up. Starting a church and being a part of a church plant 10 years ago felt very good to me, because building from the ground up. I love working with my clients on building their businesses from the ground up, because that is my sort of shadow mantle, just who I am at my core when I'm alone and by myself. So sometimes that shadow mantle is something that maybe you've hidden, you've run away from, or it's something that it just comes up when you're by yourself, and you naturally fall into it, but it's not the main thing that presents itself right off the bat. Because even though for me, I will say as a business coach and as somebody who architects things, right, one can look at me and say, oh, well, you're a business coach, so of course that makes sense that your shadow mantle or your mantle must be a builder one. Right, but if you've worked with me, you know that the primary way that I actually move people into building their business is we get to work on truth, identity, mindset, like all of that stuff is at the forefront, because that is my prophetic mantle. That is really the core assignment that I have. So anyway, it's really interesting to take a look at the 3 different kinds. I'll put some more notes down below just in case you're curious, but I am curious. What are your mantles? And these happen in order. The first one that you are given is your primary one. The second one is your supportive one. And then the third one is the shadow. So I would love to know in the comments down below, what are your top 3? And then how do you see them work in your world? How are you using them? Are you using them at all? Because I think that that's a very important question. And if you haven't taken the Mantle Assessment, what are we even waiting for? Mantleassessment.com. The assessment is completely free. It'll give you the results immediately. And then obviously if you want to go deeper, the reports are there for you, and you can download the reports as you see fit. But I definitely would recommend getting all 3 of the reports instead of just one. Now they are dense. Like if you get them, you don't just skim it. Like if you get it, you are going to pour over, and you should, because this is God's wiring. This is how God created you. Like, don't you want to know how God sees you? And don't you want to know like all of the ins and outs and the nuances of how you can steward the mantle and the assignment that you've been given as effectively as possible? I do. I read my reports, and I wrote them. So with much of God's help. I will say that. And I'm so thankful for what Mantle has done in my life and what it gets to do in everybody else's life who's taken it. So if you haven't, do so, come back and let me know what your results are, and I will see you in the next video.